So hi, can you please give me your name?
It's Court Gifford.
And Court, what region were you volunteering for?
4.
Region 4. Great. So can you just tell me a little bit about your experience with volunteering with 100,000 Homes?
Well, we were able to gather information from two people who were living in homemade shacks. And one of them, the one I spoke to, had some fairly serious health issues that I hope will be taken care of. He said that he had lost 30 pounds because his teeth were hurting, and that he had some problem with his shoulders and couldn't lift things. And then thirdly, he had been diagnosed with hepatitis C, but he hadn't been checked in a number of months, and he was a little concerned about that. But he seemed safe and in warm conditions. He had a heater in this shelter that he built for himself, and so I hope that the people we talk to will get some assistance in the future.
Excellent. And anything that you learned through volunteering today? Anything that surprised you through going out to all the hot spots?
The location of the two shelters is hidden in the woods along the path a little ways from the highway, path that I have driven 1,000 times and had no idea that people were living back there and under such poor conditions. So it was an eye-opener.
Good, good. Well, thank you so much for volunteering, Court. We appreciate your help.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you tell me what your name is?
My name is Annie.
Annie, and what volunteer or what region were you volunteering for today?
Region 4.
Region 4. Excellent. So can you tell me a little bit about your experience volunteering with 100,000 Homes today?
At first it started off really slow. The first hotspot we went to, there was no one there. There was a lot of skunks there. And we went to the second place, which is right by Route 50 and 66. And there's actually a gentleman there that actually has started owning a house. His name is Steven, and he is actually really handy. He has everything he needs. He has his bed, he has a propane heater and everything. I don't know, the thing I guess that made me like him so much because he was actually a war veteran back in the Gulf War and the Vietnam War. I'm like, wow, he's a decorated veteran, but he's living in the woods, and I guess that made me choked up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. And then we had one other gentleman, but I wasn't there when he was doing the survey. I didn't get there until he took his picture, and he's been living there for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I'm just like, wow, how can people live in these places
Absolutely.
for a long period of time like that?
Absolutely. And was there anything that you saw today that surprised you or anything that you learned through volunteering?
I should guess just because I work with the homeless population a lot, but I work with them in shelter. So to actually see them in like the environment they live in is a lot different than what they are in shelter.
Right. Absolutely. Well, Annie, thank you for your time and thank you for volunteering.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. So can you tell me your name?
My name is Maura Williams, and I'm the Deputy Executive Director at Facets.
Excellent. And what region are you volunteering for today?
I'm volunteering for Region 4.
Excellent. And so can you tell me a little bit about your experience volunteering with 100,000 Homes today?
Well, I went out and did the street outreach this morning. We were supposed to visit 4 different sites in Centerville. We made it to 3 of them. Didn't see anybody at any of the sites, but there was definitely evidence that people were at all 3 sites. The first one was it was a very large wooded area, and there were 6 of us, so we kind of split up, and I wasn't in the group that actually saw the campsite, and it was very dark while we were out there, so I didn't go and look at it. The second one, the campsite was enormous. I can't even describe how big it was. It was in a wooded area also, and there was so much trash chairs, clothing, mattresses, children's toys, suitcases, just strewn all over the place, clothes hanging up to dry, so obviously people had been there recently. We took a lot of great pictures there. And then the third site, there were 2 abandoned homes that were right off of a main highway. We couldn't find a way into the one home, but the second home, there was a hole that somebody had made in the side of the home, and we looked in there. Again, there was nobody there but evidence. There was clothing and a little bit of trash and some graffiti on the walls, but it was a great experience. We got a lot of great pictures out of it, and hopefully tomorrow the team will interview some people.
Great, great. And do you have any additional remarks or anything that you learned from volunteering today?
It was just an amazing experience, and I wish I could go back out again. This is my only day that I'm able to go out. But as we were driving back to headquarters, we saw other buildings that were boarded up, other houses, and just from seeing those 2 that we actually looked at, we were wondering, should we stop at all of the boarded up houses that we see? Maybe people are living in those homes as well, and we just don't know about it. So it would just be great to have all of the information that we can from the community on all the different places that the unsheltered are sleeping. But it was a fantastic experience. I had a great time.
Great, good. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
He does hold a job. He works the midnight shift, and he's been saving his money. He has ceramic tile floors inside of his house. Yeah, the bathroom, the shower's coming. So, but he does hold a job. He holds a job. And the only thing he needs, it's not like he wants to move from there. He's content where he's at. He just needs medical, which is very interesting.
Right. And what type of medical needs did he have?
Teeth. He needs some teeth work, some dental work done, because he's having a hard time eating. So he's lost about 30 pounds, he said, in a month. He's a real slender guy.
Wow.
So just all he needs is just dental. I mean, just medical. And then he told me some of his other health issues that he has. And so he'd like to have that checked out. So he does want to see a medical doctor, and he needs dental.
And so did he have an interest in participating in this 100,000 Homes campaign? What did
Yeah, he was amazed. He didn't know anything about it. That was the funny thing about it. So we got there, we was explaining everything, and he was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, come on in. And he just sat there and he talked to us. It was like, hey, have a seat on the cooler. I was like, okay. So I sat on the cooler. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you for your story.
About the site and the description of what his home. What his home looked like, and how he was able to invite a friend and a visitor. Okay, Gaynor?
He had a tent, but it wasn't, this isn't a temporary dwelling place for him. It's out, it's under some trees in the woods. He had a tent. There's a drum, steel drum with a fire in it, and he had his radio set up. But this is a permanent enough dwelling that he had a friend over for breakfast. The friend is not homeless. The friend has known him for like 22 years, lives with his father, but comes over periodically to visit. It's at this person's home out in the woods.
And he was very happy to say the exact location where he was. And he seemed to have been there for long enough that he knew this was the old Shirley Gate, area that he was in.
Yeah. This is his spot. He said he doesn't like to hang around with other homeless because they have so many problems. So he likes this one spot where he's has some privacy.
And the thing that I find that was interesting about when he wanted us to go visit his friend, the gentleman he was concerned about, he says he's not only concerned about him health-wise, he says, but he has some problems thinking, some mental conditions. So he was observant enough to be able to notice that. And he didn't, for me, interviewing him, he didn't seem to have any mental illness himself, and was very open and honest, and only concerned about his age, that he says, I'm getting older now.
Yeah.
So, and he now that he feels that he's getting older, maybe having his friend who's now 10 years older than him, he sees that maybe the outdoor life that he's been living, maybe he is then maybe ready for services, to be able to see if he can't get some kind of help.
And so was this surprising to either of you at all? Was this what you were expecting to see when you went out to survey folks?
I was surprised at how open and friendly he
Yes.
was. When we first arrived, we were standing near the street, and he says, "Would you like to come?" It's like somebody was inviting you into their home. Say, "Would you like to come, in a little ways, to where I'm living?" And we did have to walk through a little bit of a path to be able to get there. But the sunlight was shining. There was the wonderful aroma of the food cooking. He even had his friend brought food for him, brought bread for him. Chairs were there. He offered us a chair, to sit in. So this was really his home and his setting, and a tent was set up, so he was really there permanently.
Yeah.
Knew where everything was.
We don't want to make it sound too comfortable. It was cold out there, and if you were more than, a couple of feet back from that fire, it was really cold.
Yeah.
So.
And there was frozen water
where he
along the
lives,
way as we're
yes.
walking back, and but as comfortable as you can be outdoor, with a homeless atmosphere. He made it as comfortable as he possibly could.
Yeah, and he was quite articulate.
Very articulate, yes.
Yeah,
He
I think that was
really
sort of a
was.
surprise that
Yeah.
he and his friend were very well-spoken and able to talk about the challenges that they're facing.
And he began in the Herndon area, I think, being homeless there, and somehow migrated, but he's always been in the Fairfax County area, and just living here. So, but I didn't ask him any questions about family. There were no personal issues that were actually being offered. And what was interesting is he wasn't wearing glasses, and he could see the questions I was asking, and he almost responded, to the questions from the sheet of paper that he was reading ahead of time. And again, very, very cooperative. So that was my big surprise, is that he was extremely genuine, honest, very cooperative, and very personable. And I was
He just
just
needs
very
a home.
Yeah. He
Just needs a home.
And somebody to care. Somebody to care. That's what was so interesting, is that he did call the name of the person who came from CSV, and so he related, even though he may not want to be living with other people, he related to somebody taking their time to come out to talk to him, to really care and not give up on him.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you guys for sharing your time.
Thank you.